Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are really getting into something interesting, I think. It's this sort of conflict brewing right at the heart of, well, the creator world.
Yeah, it's this battle for the best compact, high-performance camera, but it's more than just specs, isn't it?
Exactly. It's not just sensor size. It feels more like a philosophical showdown. You've got the full frame look versus, say, Micro Four Thirds endurance with APS-C trying to balance everything.
That's the core of it. And the sources we've looked at, they really frame it like that. 4 different philosophies trying to answer the same question. How much pro camera can you realistically squeeze into a body you can carry everywhere all the time?
Right. So our mission today, for you listening, is to unpack that. We're looking at 4 key cameras, each representing a different approach, a different sensor size.
We want to help you figure out which one actually solves your problems. You know, those constant trade-offs between low light and stability, or that dreamy bokeh versus just getting the shot reliably, or even the cost of lenses versus how easy it is to handle.
Okay, let's lay out the contenders. These are our 4 philosophies of compact creation. First up, the big sensor in the small box. The Panasonic S9.
The S9. Yeah, this is the minimalist full frame. It screams creator first, prioritizing that look above all else. Think real-time LUTs, open-gate 6K video. It's all about the aesthetic potential of that L-mount full frame sensor.
Minimalist means sacrifices, right? What gets cut.
Oh, yeah, big time. To get that small, they stripped it down radically. There's no electronic viewfinder or EVF. You're framing entirely off the back screen. And the really provocative thing, no mechanical shutter at all. It's electronic shutter only. That's a huge departure for a camera in this class, all in the name of size and that full frame image.
Wow. Okay. So next philosophy, APS-C balance. That brings us to the Fujifilm X-E5, the rangefinder charmer, as some sources call it.
Right, the X-E5 is about finding that sweet spot. It's for someone who loves the process of taking photos and videos. It's got Fuji's unique 40.2 megapixel X-Trans 5HR sensor, known for great detail, plus really strong 7-stop in-body image stabilization, IBIS.
And serious video specs, too.
Definitely. 6.2K internal recording. It feels like a camera made for photographers who also need strong video, a true hybrid tool.
Okay, then there's Micro Four Thirds, and here we have to talk about a hypothetical, right? The Panasonic G100 Mark II.
Yeah, this one's theoretical, but it's crucial for understanding the MFT philosophy. We're essentially imagining Panasonic taking the super compact G100 body and dropping in the engine from their powerhouse G9 Mark II.
So what would that actually mean in terms of specs?
It would mean a 25 megapixel MFT sensor, modern phase detection autofocus, or PDAF, which is huge for Panasonic MFT, plus potentially class-leading 8-stop IBIS, and critically, 4K video at 60 frames per second without a crop.
Ah, okay, so if the S9 is look over everything, this hypothetical G100 II is.
Endurance, absolute run-and-gun stability and reliability, the mini run-and-gun camera built to just keep going.
Got it. And finally, the smallest sensor, the 1-inch category, represented by the Sony ZV-1.
The ZV-1 is all about immediacy. It's a definition of pick up and shoot. Ultra compact, fixed lens, a 24-70mm equivalent f1.8, 2.8, so you don't worry about lenses at all.
So it skips the whole system idea.
Completely. It's built for instant social clips, vlogging straight out of the box. You trade lens flexibility and ultimate image quality for maximum portability and dead simple operation.
Okay, great breakdown. S9 for the look, X-E5 for balance, G100 II for endurance, ZV-1 for pure simplicity. Let's pivot now to image aesthetics. The look, the detail, the depth. This is where those sensor sizes really start to show their differences.
Absolutely. Let's start with the S9's full frame aesthetic. That look over everything philosophy really comes through here. The bigger sensor just gathers more light per pixel.
Which means cleaner images, especially in shadows.
Exactly. Cleaner shadows, smoother transitions between light and dark areas, especially when the light is tricky. And then there's the bokeh. The sources use these great German words, Diests, meaning dense or rich image quality, and schmelzende Bokeh.
Melting bokeh. Can you unpack that a bit? Is it just more blur?
It's more than just blur quantity, it's the quality of the blur. Because the sensor's bigger, the way the focus falls off is gentler, smoother. Out-of-focus highlights look rounder, creamier. The whole image feels more dimensional.
More cinematic.
Yeah, that's the word often used. Stiller, ruger, grosser, quieter, calmer, bigger. You really notice it in low light, like shooting at dusk or with city lights, neon signs. It just renders differently.
Sounds amazing. But there's always a but, isn't there? The S9's cinematic dream takes a hit when you need slow motion.
It does. You get that beautiful full-frame look at 4K up to 30p, and also in that amazing open-gate 6K mode up to 30p. But the second you switch to 4K 60p for smoother slow-mo,
It crops in.
instantly, it punches into an APS-C crop. So your field of view narrows quite significantly. If you're trying to get a wide-angle shot in slow motion, suddenly your wide lens isn't so wide anymore. You either lose the shot or stick to 30p. It's a definite workflow consideration.
Okay, so let's move to the X-E5 and the APS-C approach. Less about melting bokeh, maybe more about sharpness and detail.
Precisely. The X-E5 leans on its high-resolution 40.2 megapixel X-Trans sensor. That resolution is obviously great for stills photographers, but for video, it offers something else. The reframing advantage.
Because it records at 6.2K.
Exactly. It records internally at 6.2K 30p in 10-bit color. You're capturing way more detail than you need for a final 4K delivery.
Which means in editing.
You can punch in maybe 15% or so to reframe your shot or digitally stabilize it a bit more, all without dropping below true 4K resolution. It gives you this safety net, this flexibility in post, which can be a lifesaver if you didn't quite nail the framing in the moment.
How close could the X-E5 look get to that S9 full-frame aesthetic, though?
Well, physics is physics. It's noticeably less schmelzen, less melty than the S9. But, and this is important, if you pair the X-E5 with good, fast Fuji prime lenses, like one of their f1.4s, the sources say you can get surprisingly close to that shallow depth of field look, especially for things like portraits.
And the strong IBIS helps there, too, presumably.
Yeah, that 7-stop IBIS lets you use slightly slower shutter speeds handheld, which can also help you manage depth of field while keeping ISO low. It balances things out.
Okay, now the pragmatists. Micro Four Thirds and 1 inch. Let's imagine that G100 Mark II MFT look.
Based on the G9 II sensor, you expect a look that's often described as clinically clean, very sharp, uniformly sharp across the whole frame. MFT lenses are designed for that edge-to-edge performance.
Predictable.
Very predictable, yeah. Which is great for things like news gatherings, sports, action, where consistency is key. And the big plus, assuming it inherits the G9 II's capabilities, is that 4K 60 video without any crop. That consistency is huge.
But the trade-off is always depth of field with MFT, isn't it? Getting that blurry background takes more effort.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Because of the crop factor, to get the equivalent depth of field of, say, a full-frame f2.8 lens, you generally need an MFT lens around f1.4, maybe even f1.2.
So you do fast primes.
You do. You need those bright f1.7 or f1.8 MFT primes, which thankfully exist and are often excellent and quite small, but it means you have to actively choose lenses for shallow depth of field, whereas on the S9 it kind of happens more naturally.
The payoff being?
Size and weight. A bag full of Pro MFT lenses can easily weigh half as much as the equivalent L-mount full-frame kit. That's a massive practical advantage for travel or long shooting days.
And finally, the little ZV-1. What's its aesthetic contribution?
Pure function. It delivers decent 1-inch sensor quality that's perfectly fine, even good for web videos, social media content, but you have to be realistic.
Limitations.
Yeah, put it side by side with the bigger sensors and you'll see less dynamic range. It won't handle bright skies and deep shadows in the same shot as well. And depth of field control is much, much more limited. It's utilitarian, designed for ease of use, not necessarily for crafting a cinematic look.
Okay, that paints a clear picture of the looks. Let's transition from the art to the maybe harsher reality. Video workflow, endurance, and this idea of unlimited recording. Section 3. The S9 has a killer feature here, doesn't it?
It really does. That OpenGate 6K recording using the full 3.2 sensor area up to 30p is a game changer for modern content creators. Think about it. You shoot one video.
And you have to deliver it for YouTube, Instagram Reels, maybe a square post.
Exactly. All different aspect ratios. With OpenGate, you shoot one high-resolution master file that uses the whole sensor. Then in editing, you can cleanly crop that same take into 16.9 horizontal, 9.16 vertical, 1.1 square, even 4.5 without losing resolution.
So shoot once, deliver everywhere.
Pretty much. It drastically simplifies that multi-platform workflow. It's a perfect example of that creator-first thinking Panasonic put into the S9.
I remember when it launched, there was a huge gap. Those recording limits were brutal, weren't they? Like 10 or 15 minutes max.
Oh, they were crippling. 10 minutes for 6K, 15 for 4K in some modes. It made the camera basically useless for anything longer than a short clip, like interviews or events. Big outcry from creators.
And Panasonic listened.
They did. The critical firmware update, version 1.1, added a simple menu option, recording without time limit. Flick that switch, and the hard stop is gone. Suddenly, the S9 became viable for much longer. Takes interviews, presentations, documentaries. It was a massive course correction.
So problem solved. Can it just run forever now or until the battery dies?
Not quite forever. The software limit is gone, but the physical limit heat is still there. You've got a powerful full-frame sensor packed into a tiny body with limited cooling.
So it can still overheat?
Potentially, yes. Even with the updates, sources suggest that for continuous 4K recording, you might still hit a thermal throttle after maybe 30, 40 minutes, perhaps longer, depending on conditions. It's much better than 15 minutes, but it's not going to run indefinitely like some larger cameras might.
Yeah.
Physics always wins in the end.
And even with unlimited recording, what high-end video features are still missing from the S9?
Well, to keep it small and hit that price point, it's still what you might call creator light, not broadcast heavy. There's no internal ProRes recording, no raw video output, no high bitrate all-intra codecs. These are features found on more expensive, usually larger pro cameras.
And that 4K 60 crop is still there.
Still there. If you need wide-angle 4K slow motion, the S9 forces that APS-C punch-in.
Okay, let's contrast that with our hypothetical endurance runner, the G100 Mark II.
Right. If our assumption holds G9 II guts in a G100 body, this camera is all about duration and reliability. The magic combination is that potential for 4K 60 video without a crop, plus likely better thermal performance.
Why better thermals?
Smaller sensor, generally more efficient processing in the MFT world. MFT sensors just don't generate as much heat as full-frame sensors, especially when pushed hard, and the bodies can often dissipate it better relative to their size.
So for run and gun work, that lack of crop at 4K 60 is huge.
It's what we called workflow piece. Imagine filming an event or a fast-moving documentary subject. You need smooth 60p for potential slow motion, but you also need your wide lens to stay wide. The G100 II premise delivers that without compromise and likely without the constant worry of overheating that you might have with a compact full-frame camera. It's built for getting hours of reliable footage.
Where does the Fuji X-E5 fit in this endurance picture?
It strikes a really nice balance again. It's a very capable video camera. You get that internal 6.2K 3DP and high-quality 4.2.2 10-bit color, which is fantastic. It also handles 4K 60p pretty well, though there might be a slight crop there depending on the mode.
And has high frame rates too.
Yes, full HD up to 240p, which is great for super slow motion analysis, like for sports or product shots. The 6.2K gives you that reframing flexibility we talked about, offering a different kind of safety net compared to the S9's open gate.
And the ZV-1. Its workflow advantage is simplicity again?
Maximum simplicity, yeah. It's capped at 4K 30p, which is a limitation for sure. But it has one incredibly useful practical feature built right in, an ND filter.
A neutral density filter, like sunglasses for the lens?
Exactly. If you're shooting video outside in bright sunlight and want to keep a nice cinematic slow shutter speed, like 150th or 160th, and a wide aperture for some background blur, you need an ND filter to cut down the light. The ZV-1 has one built in that you can just switch on.
So no fiddling with screw-on filters?
Nope. Saves time, saves hassle. It's a small thing, but it really speaks to the ZV-1's mission of being instantly ready to shoot decent-looking video with minimal fuss.
Right. Okay, aesthetics and endurance covered. Let's get into the hands-on stuff, the handling, the stabilization, and maybe some of those hidden compromises. Section 4. And a big one here is the viewfinder debate. EVF versus screen only.
Yeah, this really splits the contenders. The S9 and the ZV-1 go all in on the minimalist screen-centric design. You can pose, focus, review everything using the flip-out rear screen.
Which is great for
being discreet on the street, maybe? Excellent for putting the camera on a gimbal, where a viewfinder just gets in the way. But relying only on a screen has real drawbacks.
like shooting in bright sunshine.
That's the biggest one. Bright sun washes out the screen, makes it really hard to judge focus accurately or see subtle exposure changes. Also, for people who are used to holding a camera up to their eye, that classic stable shooting stance,
It feels wrong.
it feels less stable, less connected. It's probably the biggest practical price paid for the extreme compactness of the S9, especially.
And the X-E5 and the hypothetical G100 II offer the alternative.
They do. They stick to the more traditional approach, including an electronic viewfinder. The X-E5 has a pretty decent 2.36 million dot EVF in that side-mounted rangefinder style, reinforcing its photographic DNA.
And the G100 II, based on the original.
The original G100 actually had a surprisingly high-resolution 3.68 million dot EVF for its class. If the Mark II kept that, plus its fully articulating screen, it would offer the best of both worlds. Eye-level shooting and easy vlogging or low-high angle framing with the screen.
Speaking of screens, the type matters too, right? Tilt versus fully articulating.
Hugely important for how you use the camera. The X-E5 has a 3-way tilt screen. Many photographers prefer this. It feels sturdier, keeps the screen aligned with the lens axis for waist-level shooting. But
not great for filming yourself.
not at all. For vlogging or any kind of self-shooting, you need to see yourself. That's where the fully articulating flip-forward screens on the S9, ZV-1, and assume for the G100 II are essential. Different tools for different jobs.
Okay, now let's dig into that provocative choice on the S9. The electronic shutter only. No safety net.
It's a bold move, driven entirely by the desire for that tiny body size. Removing the mechanical shutter assembly saves space and complexity, but it introduces risks.
Now, we mentioned rolling shutter, that wobbly look with fast movement, but the bigger practical issue is banding.
Banding is the main headache, yeah. Especially indoors under artificial lights like LEDs or fluorescents. These lights flicker, they cycle on and off very quickly, often tied to the electrical frequency 50 Hz or 60 Hz.
And the electronic shutter can catch that flicker.
If the sensor readout speed isn't perfectly synced with the light's flicker cycle, the shutter effectively captures different lines of the sensor during the on and off phases of the light. Result? Visible dark or bright bands rolling through your image or video.
And a mechanical shutter normally avoids this.
Or at least mitigates it significantly, especially for stills. A mechanical shutter exposes the whole sensor more or less simultaneously, or uses an electronic first curtain, EFCS, to start. It acts as a sort of Rettungswing, a lifeline, against banding in tricky lighting. The S9 doesn't have that lifeline.
So how does the S9 user fight banding?
Panasonic includes a tool called SynchroScan. It's a menu setting for both photo and video that lets you manually fine-tune the shutter speed in incredibly small increments like 150.2 sec, 1100.8 sec to match the exact frequency of the lights you're under.
So it's fixable, but requires work.
Exactly. It works, but it requires you to recognize the banding, go into the menu, experiment with the SynchroScan setting until the banding disappears. It adds a layer of technical setup that the other cameras with their mechanical shutters simply don't require for stills.
So X-E5, ZV-1, G100 II, presumably easier life under artificial lights for photos. S9 more work, more potential frustration in fast-paced situations.
That sums it up well. Redundancy versus force optimization. It's a major workflow difference.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly to autofocus and stabilization. How do they stack up?
Well, in autofocus, there's been a big leap for Panasonic. Both the S9 and our hypothetical G100 II would benefit from the latest phase detection autofocus PDAF systems derived from the S5 II and G9 II.
Which means reliable tracking.
Much more reliable tracking of faces, eyes, even vehicles, compared to Panasonic's older contrast detect systems. PDAF is generally considered the gold standard for video autofocus, so that's a huge plus for both the S9 and the potential G100 II.
And the Fujifilm X-E5.
Fuji system is also top tier. It uses their latest X Processor 5 combined with AI-powered subject detection algorithms. It's known for being very fast, very sticky, and great at recognizing a wide range of subjects, people, animals, vehicles. Really strong performance there, too.
Now, stabilization. IBIS ratings are getting crazy high. We have 7 stops on the X-E5 and potentially 8 stops on the G100 II. What does that extra stop really mean?
Well, each stop theoretically doubles the slowest shutter speed you can handhold without blur. So 8 stops is technically better than 7. In practice, both are incredibly effective. 7 stops on the X-E5 might let you get sharp handheld shots at, say, 1/18 of a second, maybe slower.
And the 8 stops in the G100 II.
Should be even better. Sources often describe the G9 II's 8-stop system, which we assume the G100 II inherits, as making handheld shooting feel incredibly in spanter relaxed. You just worry less about micro jitters.
And when you factor in the lighter MFT lenses.
It creates the synergy, yeah. Lighter lenses have less inertia. They're easier for the IBIS mechanism to counteract. So the G100 II platform likely offers the smoothest, most stable handheld experience, especially for video, potentially reducing the need for a gimbal in many situations.
How does the S9's IBIS compare?
It's rated at 5 to 6.5 stops, depending on the lens, which is still very competent. But stabilizing that larger, heavier, full-frame sensor inside such a small body is inherently more challenging. It's good, but probably not quite as relaxed as the MFT system.
Okay, one last crucial handling point before we move on.
Well,
audio monitoring, a potential deal breaker.
Absolutely critical for serious video. And here, the minimalist designs bite again. Both the S9 and the ZV-1 lack a dedicated headphone jack.
So you can't listen to the audio you're recording internally?
Not directly from the camera, no. You have to rely on the on-screen audio meters or use an external recorder that does have a headphone output. For interviews, dialogue, anything where clean audio is vital, recording blind without monitoring is a huge risk.
Which camera handles this best?
The Fujifilm X-E5 has the most complete built-in solution. It has a standard 3.5mm microphone input, and it provides audio monitoring via its USB-C port using an included adapter cable, so you can plug in headphones.
And the G100 II.
The original G100 had interesting Ozio audio features for directional sound, but relied on USB-C for headphone monitoring too, likely requiring an adapter. So the X-E5 comes out slightly ahead for having the adapter typically included and just being ready for proper audio workflow out of the box.
Right, that little adapter can make a big difference. Okay, let's talk money and long-term commitment. Section V, ecosystem, weight, and the total cost of ownership. The body price is just the start. Let's recap those body prices quickly.
Lowest entry point is the Sony ZV-1 fixed lens, maybe around $570 or so. Incredible value for what it does instantly. Then the Panasonic S9 body, really shaking things up at under €1,000, maybe $1,400 with the kit lens. Cheapest way into that L-mount full-frame look.
Our hypothetical G100 II, we ballparked around $1,300.
Yeah, if it hits those specs at that price, it's a real sweet spot. Pro features, EVF, IBIS, crop-free, 4K 60 without breaking the bank. And then the Fujifilm X-E5 is the most expensive body, starting around $1,450, reflecting its premium build, sensor, IBIS, and that unique handling.
Okay, but the real cost comes with lenses.
Right.
All right, let's compare the ecosystems. L-mount for the S9 first.
L-mount has fantastic glass options from Panasonic, Sigma, and even Leica, optically superb. The full-frame lenses are inherently bigger, heavier, and generally more expensive, especially if you want fast primes or high-end zooms.
So the TCO, the total cost of ownership, climbs quickly.
It can, yeah.
Okay.
A good quality f1.8 prime might be reasonable, but an f1.4 or a pro zoom will be a significant investment in both cache and bag space. The advantage is scalability. L-mount is used on high-end cinema cameras, too. But for a compact setup, it demands commitment.
How about Fujifilm's X-mount for the X-E5?
X-mount is a huge strength for Fuji. There's a massive selection of lenses, known for having real character. And crucially, many of their excellent prime lenses, the f2 Fujicrons, or even the f1.4s, are relatively compact, lightweight, and more affordable than full-frame equivalents.
So a better balance of cost and quality?
Often, yes. You get fantastic image quality and that specific Fuji feel without necessarily needing the budget or the chiropractor required for a full L-mount kit. It's a very appealing ecosystem for enthusiasts and pros who value variety and character.
And the big advantage of Micro Four Thirds for the G100 II.
Weight and size. Full stop. MFT is simply the most compact and lightweight system for professional use. A pro-grade zoom lens, like a 12-35mm f2.8, which is like a 24-70mm full frame, is dramatically smaller and lighter than its APS-C or full-frame counterparts.
This isn't just about convenience, is it?
No, it's a genuine productivity game. If you're a solo operator, a documentary filmmaker constantly on the move, shedding kilograms from your kit makes a huge difference over a long day or a long trip. You can fit more lenses in a smaller bag, maybe leave the gimbal behind more often thanks to the IBIS. It saves energy, reduces fatigue.
Looking at it that way, the X-E5's higher body price seems less daunting if the lenses are more manageable long-term.
That's a very valid point. The initial buy-in for the X-E5 body is higher, yes. But if you plan on building a system with, say, 3 quality prime lenses, the total cost over time might actually be similar to or even less than the S9 system once you factor in the price and bulk of equivalent L-mount glass. You pay for the refined X-E5 experience up front, but the lens ecosystem offers great value.
Okay, this has been incredibly detailed. Let's bring it all together now in Section 6, Practical Application. How do we match these different camera philosophies to specific creator workflows? Let's start with the workflow focused purely on look and aesthetics.
This is squarely S9 territory. If your primary goal is the most cinematic image quality possible in a compact form, think portraits, fashion shoots, moody street scenes, music videos where available light and shallow depth of field are key, the S9's full-frame sensor delivers that superior look.
How should creators think about using the S9 in practice?
It's probably best as either a specialized A camera for controlled, scenic shots where you can manage its limitations, like potential banding, audio monitoring, or as a fantastic B camera alongside a more robust main camera like an S5 II. Thanks to the firmware update, it can do longer takes now, but it excels when the absolute mood and aesthetic quality of the image is the top priority over ruggedness or foolproof operation.
Okay, now the opposite end, the endurance and action workflow.
This points directly to our hypothetical G100 Mark II. If your job involves run-and-gun documentaries covering live events, shooting unpredictable action like sports indoors, basically, any situation where you need to reliably capture hours of footage, often handheld, the G100 II's potential feature set is tailor-made for that.
Why specifically?
That combination of reliable, crop-free 4K 60 video, potentially class-leading 8-stop IBIS, and the lightweight, compact MFT lenses. It's designed to minimize stress, less worry about overheating, less worry about your wide shot suddenly cropping in, less physical fatigue from carrying heavy gear.
So MFT might not have quite the magic of full-frame bokeh, but it delivers the shot reliably.
That's the trade-off, exactly. You sacrifice maybe that last 10% of ultimate shallow depth of field potential, but you gain enormous peace of mind in demanding long-duration shooting scenarios. For solo operators or people churning out educational content consistently, that reliability and endurance can be far more valuable.
Where does the Fujifilm X-E5 fit the hybrid and balanced workflow?
Precisely. The X-E5 is for the creator who needs to do both serious stills and serious video, often in the same day or on the same trip. Think travel documentaries where you need stunning photos and high-quality video clips, corporate work requiring both, or street reportage flipping between modes.
What makes it the balanced choice?
It has the high-resolution sensor and tactile controls for photographers, the strong IBIS, the excellent 6.2K and 4K video specs, and that crucial onboard audio monitoring solution via the USB-C adapter. It's the most versatile, inspiring all-rounder for someone who doesn't want to compromise too much on either photos or video.
And finally, the ultimate budget and simplicity workflow.
That's the Sony ZV-1, hands down. If the goal is just to get decent-looking video online as quickly and easily as possible, pocket vlogging, quick social media clips, maybe simple product demos, the ZV-1 is unbeatable.
It removes all the friction.
Almost all of it. Built-in lens, built-in ND filter, great autofocus, easy-to-use stabilization modes, the flippy screen. You just turn it on and hit record. It's consciously limited in its ultimate capabilities, but for pure speed and portability from pocket to posting, it wins.
Fantastic. We've covered the philosophy, the tech, the cost, the application. Let's try to synthesize this one last time as we wrap up. The core choice for you, the listener.
Okay, boiling it down. You choose the Panasonic S9 primarily for the look, that full-frame aesthetic, and the unique workflow advantage of 6K open gate. You choose the Fujifilm X-E5 for balance the blend of high-res stills, strong video, classic handling, and good audio capability. And you choose the hypothetical Panasonic G100 II for endurance maximizing reliability with crop-free 4K 60, amazing stabilization, and the lightweight MFT ecosystem.
It's interesting that the S9 gained its unlimited recording via a software update, fixing a major workflow issue. But its biggest potential snag, that lack of a mechanical shutter, is baked into the hardware.
Right, and that leads us to our final provocative thought for you to consider. The S9's dedication to minimalist design forced the removal of the mechanical shutter. This directly exposes creators to the risk of banding under artificial lights, something the other cameras largely avoid with their physical shutters.
The S9 offers SynchroScan as a workaround, but it's an extra technical step.
Exactly, so the question becomes, how often is pursuing that ultimate cinematic look worth the cumulative hassle? The hassle of potentially needing SynchroScan, the hassle of needing external audio monitoring, the underlying worry about thermal limits in long takes?
When does that aesthetic purity start to clash with practical, everyday shooting reality?
It forces you to make a fundamental choice about your priorities. The S9 is like this beautiful, specialized tool, perfect for certain curated shots. But if your job depends on getting the shot every time under unpredictable conditions, does the robust reliability and redundancy of something like the X-E5 or the sheer workflow endurance of the G100 II concept actually become more valuable in the long run?
Are you prioritizing the absolute potential quality of the image even if it takes more work, or the guarantee of capturing usable footage with less friction?
That's the core dilemma these different philosophies present. Sometimes the most professional choice isn't the one with the shallowest depth of field, but the one that guarantees you come home with the footage you need.
A perfect point to end on. It's not just about the specs, but about which set of compromises best aligns with how you actually work. Thank you for diving deep with us on this one.